Tucker Carlson had a field day reacting to some choice clips from Elon Musk's recent appearance at the New York Times Dealbook Conference. You might remember that was the one where he told advertisers to go F themselves. In a recent appearance on the All In podcast, Tucker praised Elon for sticking it to big corporate advertisers he saw as trying to dictate what content he could have on the platform by threatening to withhold ads. Let's watch.
I mean, I've interviewed people every week for over 30 years, and I know I have a lot of experience interviewing people, and I've interviewed Elon, and I don't understand how the New York Times character, fussy little guy from the New York Times, like, how could you not laugh? Like, what? He just told Bob Iger to f himself.
He's a terrible moderator. Don't get me started. You and I are in sync. Andrew Sorkin is amongst the weakest of moderators and interviewers.
But he's just, what a fussy little douche. Like, that's the moment when he just,
huge douche.
You erupt.
Say more,
total,
Tucker.
like, are you joking? Elon Musk just told Bob Iger to f himself? Like,
yes.
I'd be texting my wife.
Response. He's a robot.
It was like the hand of God massaging my central nervous system, like every erogenous zone was just in heightened awareness. Like that, I couldn't
It's a full
agree
release, full chiropractic release.
Wow, it's so dirty. I'm sorry. No, but I so vehemently agree. And I don't even like electric cars. I don't think they help the environment. I didn't even agree with that part. I just love his point, which is the point, which is what actually matters is what you do. It's not what you think. What matters is helping other people.
Okay, so first of all, it's interesting that they kind of framed the relationship between Elon Musk and the interviewer as kind of not adversarial, but they framed the interviewer as not knowing what to do and being like a deer in headlights or what have you. During their conversation, Elon Musk specifically went out of his way to say that we're only able to have this conversation because you are my friend. Mm-hmm. So they actually have apparently a good personal relationship. So it does feel like some of this is projection. I don't know. What do you think?
He got his name wrong or something. So then it's like, are you really friends?
Oh, well.
Or something like that. I think that's what happened. I'm pretty sure. I hope we bleeped some of that interview, by the way. Obviously there's a joy in telling the advertisers to do what Elon did, because I think, but I don't really see. Maybe this is different for me compared to the people on that podcast and Tucker, because I actually don't blame the advertisers so much. And also, they don't have to advertise on your platform. You can't. It's like that's like give me money and then you're mad when I don't give it to you. Well, they can do whatever they want.
I thought we liked free markets.
Well, I don't know that any of those people like free markets. I like free markets, so people can choose to do whatever they want. But I don't really blame the advertisers. Again, they're being fed propaganda and often inaccurate information by the mediator groups, the Media Matters, the ADL, those type of people that have drawn up, in some cases, fraudulent statistics for how much hate and loathsome content is on the platform, and they're responding to that. And we've seen over and over again how the misinformation cops, the gatekeeper third-party organizations, the hate trackers, some of these groups, in some cases, are funded by our own government, the Global Disinformation Index, which tried to get advertisers to stop working with Reason, where I'm also an employee, and a number of right-of-center media organizations based on promoting the racist conspiracy theory of the lab leak origin and other things. It was all BS. It was total BS. These are fraudulent organizations that are persuading advertisers to not work with certain websites and certain social media companies based on lies. And we should spend all of our time calling out those people rather than blaming advertisers when they fall. I mean, advertisers should not fall hook, line, and sinker for what every misinfo, hate, watch cop group says. I wish they would be a little bit more discerning, but at the end of the day, it's not their fault. It's those groups' fault.
Okay, look. The previous owners of Twitter, as we've seen from the Twitter files, were also under a lot of pressure from the government and other actors to moderate content in a way that was aligned with their interests and or advertisers' interests. There seems to be a little bit of an overlap there. In response, despite, as we've seen from the Twitter files, the government and or advertisers being mad at them at times, sometimes they chose to uphold what they thought their internal policy should be and say, go screw yourself. And at other times they bent the knee and said, we're going to take the Hunter Biden laptop files down. But their outward image, their outward projection was very different than what Elon Musk has chosen to do. They at very least outwardly said, we're of course trying to keep hate off the app. Of course we're trying to, moderate according to our stated policies. We believe in our policies, et cetera. Elon Musk, I'm sorry, has to take some responsibility for basically playing in to whatever the ADL, since they are misrepresenting what's going on the site, has been arguing about him. Whether it was the whole Kanye West debacle, saying you're going to take him off for explicit anti-Semitism, then saying he's my friend and I had a chat with him so he can come back on, then having to take him right back off when he posts the swastika Star of David. And whether or not it's the most recent story from just a week or so ago, where he yes-anded the following statements. Jewish communities have been pushing this exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest shit about Western Jewish populations coming to the disturbing realization that those hordes of minorities that support flooding their country don't exactly like them too much. You want the truth said to your face? There it is. And Musk, of course, replied to that. You have said the actual truth. Now, even Bill Maher, who is a big fan of Elon Musk, said that last controversial post, quote, did test my patience with him and that it looked, quote, really anti-Semitic. Now, I'm not here to weigh in on how people perceive that post. Bill Maher, I believe, is half Jewish. He has a much better standing to say what offends him as a Jewish person than I do. But the fact of the matter is Elon Musk is moving in ways that give people pause and make people feel like not just stuff is happening on the app, that Elon Musk has a kind of politics that is facilitating things being said on the app. And if advertisers want to respond accordingly and say, this is not a brand that I want to be associated with, again, that is the free market. And it's difficult for me to see how the people in the Tucker Carlson clip are trying to flip that into some kind of courageous stance. I mean, Elon Musk stepped down as CEO of his own company and put Linda Yaccarino in charge, in part because he obviously is concerned about advertisers, and he's obviously concerned about having already lost $22 billion on this business enterprise. And can he continue to hold himself out as this amazing businessman when this is frankly evidence of him having a significant failure?
Well, I mean, so a couple things. He said he's willing to lose money to defend his free speech principles. He has faced, you're right, that he has faced a lot of the same pressure, the same situation as the previous Twitter management, which I am more sympathetic to than a lot of people on the right, and maybe they've changed their mind from learning what we have learned, which was that moderators were under tremendous pressure by the people I'm describing, the third-party groups, some of them explicitly government-aligned, some of them just the government itself, faced tremendous pressure, stood up to it as best they could for a long while, and then finally caved. They were crushed underfoot. That has happened to Elon to some degree, and he flip-flops. He has certainly an imperfect record of trying to defend free speech on the platform. I think he's made it better in some ways. I think Community Notes is great. I think it's not as good in a lot of other ways. And I think he's been inconsistent at best. I agree with you on all that stuff. But it's again, the advertisers, my understanding is, it is by and large, the advertisers aren't really paying attention to what he's saying on the platform. They're paying attention to the constant pressure, the reports they get, the emails they get from Media Matters and ADL and Global Disinformation Index and a bunch of other organizations that Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi and Li Fang and other people identify in their reporting that we talk about on the show. Those people are explicitly going to the third-party groups, not Schellenberger and Taibbi and Fang, are going to the advertisers and saying, were you aware that hate has increased by 407% or whatever in the last 5 weeks, and don't you think you should stop advertising on this site? They're the ones doing that. Now, that one tweet you mentioned about Elon, it was a bad tweet. It was clearly a bad tweet. But you recognized in the past how bad faith charges of anti-Semitism from a lot of these groups and from the Israeli government, frankly, have motivated him to change directions in ways that neither you nor I approve of. So you understand that it is possible for those groups to do that. I'm saying they're doing that pervasively, and they were doing that even before this time.
If Elon really believes in the mission and wants it to be a free speech platform, it is not going to be a profitable platform, and that is fine. But what Elon said in that DealBook interview was, look, maybe Twitter will have to go out of business, and it'll be the fault of the ADL and those guys. Now, to me, people are acting like that's a principled stand. No, the principled stand is I'm going to keep this thing afloat because I really believe in it, even if the advertisers never come back. I'm not saying I'm going to kill, or it won't die. It'll just get get bought by somebody else who's going to put the old policies back into place, and Elon will have accomplished absolutely nothing. So, I mean, do it. Do the thing. There are apps that have been started in the wake of censorship campaigns expressly with the purpose of not bending the knee to other apps. We saw this with what it was like Parler, or there's what's the written one that Matt Taibbi not Substack. Substack
is what he's doing. Substack is doing well.
Yeah, a lot of these apps have resisted that pressure. Even Patreon has resisted pressure to take down content creators because some outsider doesn't like the things that they're saying. And they lose money on that. There are people who don't want to use, remember everyone was saying I'm going to leave Substack because of some right winger or another that they were upset were making money on Substack. If you stay the course, I think ultimately you get financially benefited by that. But even if you don't, if you really believe in principle, then believe in the principle. But it does sometimes feel to me like Elon's trying to have it both ways. As he's sitting there at a deal book conference with Israeli dog tags around his neck that he got on his visit to Israel to sit with Netanyahu and kiss the ring and agree that he was going to ban speech that was pro-Palestinian in nature.
Right, but that's motivated, again, by the exact pressure I'm describing. And it's a little bit different than just a pure free market type thing because, I mean, he actually is suing, right? I think he's suing Media Matters
for making them. So how can he?
Well, because they're making false claims. If there's a new hamburger store that's a free speech hamburger store and it fails because we don't want free speech hamburgers, bear with me. Fine. If it fails because there's a partly government-funded hamburger watchdog organization that says the levels of arsenic in their hamburgers has increased by 100%, and that's why they fail. Well, no, you're going to sue those people. That's the equivalency here.
My critique is not of the lawsuit. My critique is that sitting on a stage acting like you're Mr. Big Guy saying F you to the advertisers, I don't care. When you obviously care, you fight a lawsuit to get them to stop. You care. It's okay to care. It's okay to want to protect Twitter because it's a valuable site. I find it to be valuable. Yeah. Like, showing your feelings is not weakness.
Right, but I think there is a way to have a site that operates in accordance with free speech principle, better free speech principles, not total free speech, not total freewheeling. I mean, and it can just devolve more, like Michael Schellberger says. I agree with him. It'd be better, and you feel this way too. It'd be great to devolve more moderation policies to the individual users. I think there is a way to do that, but maybe there's not a way to do that if you are, bedeviled by these very bad faith third-party organizations with a terrible track record that unfortunately get treated credulously by the advertisers themselves.
Maybe.
And we should direct more of our frustration there.
There's been a lot of Twitter scandals over the years, long before Elon Musk. I also think this is an issue where, look, this is the third rail of American politics. And I think that's part of why Elon Musk went to kiss the ring. And I don't know, he tweeted out yesterday or the day before how much traffic Twitter's getting, how beneficial it would be for advertisers to be on the site, how much cheaper it is to advertise on Twitter than other places. And it does seem like some of these advertisers they're not making a business decision themselves even. This is not market acting. This is people who are acting on their own specific politics. And I do think it's interesting, Zionism does really seem to be the third line of American politics. And that's a much bigger problem for Elon Musk to have to deal with than any abstraction about liberals and advertisers not liking what's happened on the site. It's not just the left. This isn't a liberal issue. Liberals have been mad at Twitter for allowing hate speech against trans people and all of this for years. And there's never been this kind of backlash from advertisers.
Well, tomorrow on Rising, The Intercept's Jeremy Scahill will be joining us to talk about Israel-Palestine.
That should be really good. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. For those of you who like to listen while you're on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Take care.
Take care.